Hey, Patrick, how you doing, bud?
Not too bad at all, buddy. So what have you for me today?
Well, first I want to talk about our new intro, which rocks. Well done. By the way, that was great. But we're going to be talking about the government shutdown and the vote that they got cloture on. But they got 60 votes so that they could proceed forward. One independent and some others crossed the line to make sure that happened.
Yeah, one independent and 5 Democrats.
Looks that way.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see some better math. I think it was at the end of the day, I think it was 8 in total that came
8 in total across the aisle, okay.
Yes, but their names are being here. I noticed New Hampshire, Maine, Nevada, like that. So let's see what we got. So AP politics, Senate takes first step toward ending the government shutdown. There you go. And who wrote this one? Looks like Mary Clark Jelonic. Oh, man. A rough last name. And Lisa Mascaro. Yeah, I know.
I knew you were going to say something with the name. I just knew it.
I know what it sounds like, but we're just going to let that go, okay? All right, Washington, AP News. The Senate took the first step to end the government shutdown on Sunday after a group of moderate Democrats agreed to proceed without a guaranteed extension of health care subsidies, angering many in their caucus who say Americans want them to continue the fight.
Yes.
I don't know which many Americans those are. I couldn't tell you which Americans want our government to be shut down. I think that's 0 Americans that want a government shutdown, right?
I think what he means by that is the help subsidies, which were supporting many underprivileged Americans to step into healthcare.
Right. So one of the things that I do not like in the current administration is that there seems to be a big pharma and health insurance issue going on. This really reeks of that kind of lobby pushing that thing. And because we have super PACs and those businesses have billions of dollars, they really have, they're the 800-pound gorilla. You know what I'm saying? They're throwing it around. So when those super PACs, give to those elected officials or those who are running, they don't have to tell them what they want, right? If I'm from the widget lobby, when I give you money, it means I want widgets to go good. And I want you to reduce the restrictions on me and help me make money in my business, right? It's like pork barrel, but from a business perspective as opposed to the constituents.
Yeah, everyone knows why they're getting the brown envelope without saying why they're getting the brown envelope. Everyone knows it.
Right.
That's what anyone in Ireland knows what I'm talking about the brown envelopes.
Yep.
You know, yeah, you don't have to say what the brown envelope's for, but it's really much applied what the brown envelope is for.
Right. It's a wink and a nod, right? It's a wink and a nod. All right.
Yeah.
In a test vote that is the first in a series of required procedural maneuvers, the Senate voted 60-40 to move forward, passing compromise legislation to fund the government and hold a later vote on extending Affordable Care Act tax credits that expire January 1. Final passage could be several days away if Democrats object and delay the process, right? Which is would be the product of another filibuster, right? Which again means they would have to get cloture, 60 in the Senate to again attempt to move it forward. So they'd have to vote to stop the filibuster and then vote on the thing, which sucks. So
I know they had to compromise somewhere along the line when they end this shutdown, because it's not just affecting the reason why we're covering here on this channel, because it doesn't just affect the United States, it also affects the rest of the world's economy, which later on will affect everyone's economy. People seem to don't understand that the reason why we cover a lot of US politics is because it does affect so much of the G20 countries.
Yeah, and all of NATO and all of the former Warsaw Pact and BRICS. Yeah, it affects everybody.
Yeah.
So here we go. The agreement does not guarantee the healthcare subsidies will be extended, as Democrats have demanded for almost 6 weeks. Senate Democrat leader Chuck Schumer of New York voted against moving ahead with the package, along with all but 8 of his Democratic colleagues.
Ooh.
All right, here we go. So a group of 3 former governors, New Hampshire Senator Jean Shaheen, New Hampshire Senator Maggie Hassan, and Independent Senator Angus King of Maine, broke the 6-week stalemate on Sunday when they agreed to vote to advance 3 bipartisan annual spending bills and extend the rest of government funding until late January in exchange for a mid-December vote on extending healthcare tax credits. So that's going to be rough. So if they don't get what they want in December, they're just going to jam it up on January 30th or 31st, depending upon what what that day is. So.
I think they realize how badly this affected your economy over. I think they're all sides are willing to sit down now at this stage,
right?
Especially with air traffic controllers now being affected all over the United States.
Right.
What is it, 100? They're looking at a headline here: 140,000 passengers stranded across the United States.
U.S. Air dumped 200 flights, and I believe it was Delta. 2% of their carriers were going to be down.
And the other smaller carriers look like they're the same. Totaling up to 140,000 people stranded in various parts of the United States because there's not enough there. No. Wow. I'm just reading here. Yeah, just reading here. The president has asked air traffic controllers to go back to work.
Please. And thank you.
Yes, and they're saying, and their union said they won't until they get paid. I'm just rounding up the whole article here, by the way.
That seems pretty fair.
Yeah, you pay us, we'll work. It's pretty much, pretty fair, really. I can't blame the air traffic controllers. They haven't got paid in the last 4 weeks. Okay. Wow.
It's difficult to ask somebody to go to work when they can't put fuel in their vehicle and they're getting.
I was about to say they haven't been paid for over 5 weeks, and by the time it's cynical for it looks like it'll be. Yeah, they won't get paid for another further 8.5 weeks. Just adding up the dates here. But yeah, there'll be nearly 8 weeks without pay. By the time all this, even if they finished the government shutdown, they voted through. Yeah, it looks like the air traffic controllers are a bit annoyed not getting paid for nearly 2 months. That looks good. Wow.
All right. The agreement also includes a reversal of the mass firings of federal workers by the Trump administration since the shutdown began on October 1st and would ensure that federal workers receive back pay. So when there are non-essential federal workers, the executive branch can let them go. So when there's a shutdown and no one's working, he can just start letting people go, right? So it's kind of a double-edged sword. You can shut down the government, but then all of your appointees that you want in places are just going to get let go. So it's not a good thing, right?
No.
But the bigger problem here is it's affecting people's lives. Like,
big time.
Yeah. So that's just not the best.
It's unbelievable. Like all the amount of programs that were directly or indirectly affected by this government shutdown is just mind-boggling. Even down to simple services that just seem to be cancelled.
Right.
The problem is letting these people go is, one, will they come back? Because they could move on to another job. A lot of these federal employees are really well educated. They could just move on to the private sector. So trying to replace that talent afterwards.
Have you met state and federal workers? Have you met them?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not known for their work ethic.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about some. Yeah, I can already hear the people from Ireland typing down below, writing in their various county council workers. That's what you mean.
So
I'm just saying the ones that are really high, are really good at their jobs can move on.
Well, no, for sure they can, but I don't know why if they could before they didn't do it before. You know what I'm saying? If you can make more money in the private sector, right? But then the demand on your time and your resources is higher than when you get a state or federal job, right? And I've met a lot of people who work for the state in which I reside who are great people, do great work. But it seems like a lot of people are as much a burden as they are a help to whatever the mission is for that agency in the state or federal government.
As we say over here, they're much use as a hole in a tea bag.
Nice.
It's
Senate Majority Leader John Thune quickly endorsed the deal and called an immediate vote to begin the process of approving it as the shutdown continued to disrupt flights nationwide, threaten food assistance for millions of Americans, and leave federal workers without pay. There's a lot of grocery stores and department stores that have grocery sections. They're fairly dependent upon the SNAP benefits and the EBT and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And
they're geared towards those type of customers. Yeah.
Right. They're geared toward that space. So when those people don't come in, then they don't sell their groceries. And grocery stores in the United States run on about a 1% to 2% profit margin, which is why what Mamdani is planning on doing in New York is pretty bad. Because if he puts in a bunch of city-run stores that don't have to pay taxes, then he's going to be able to beat everybody's prices because they're not regulated like everybody else. Right?
Yeah,
so
as I always said about him is let's give him 6 months to see how his policies actually truly work out. Because you say a lot of things when you're being elected, a lot of promises, but following through afterwards is always the issue.
Right. The time to act is now, Thune said. Returning to the White House on Sunday evening after attending a football game, President Donald Trump did not say whether he endorsed the deal, but he said, it looks like we're getting close to the shutdown ending. Oh, yeah, that's what that means. All right, so let's discuss these Democrats. So 5 Democrats switched votes. In addition to Shaheen, King, and Hassan, Democratic Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia, home to tens of thousands of federal workers. So Washington, D.C. is in what's called the Delmarva, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia area, right? It's right, it's wedged right in there, right? So
it's right in the middle of them,
Yeah, so there are a ton of federal workers that reside in Virginia and they commute to D.C. And the D.C. Beltway is disgusting. It is the worst traffic in the entirety of the United States. It is the worst.
I've seen pictures. I've actually seen pictures of it when I was researching another story there recently.
So I was on the East Coast years ago, driving up through Annapolis and then through DC, and it was just disgusting the whole way. Like, there's just so many vehicles on the road. It was the worst. So
it gives you plenty of time to listen to a lot of good podcasts.
Oh yeah. Well, when I did it, I don't know if there were really podcasts. It was quite a bit ago. So let's see.
Was there electricity on the roads?
Oh my God, get out of here without you. Those 3 also voted in favor of moving forward on the agreement. Illinois Senator Dick Durbin, the number 2 Democrat, Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman, and Nevada Senators Catherine Cortez Masto and Jackie Rosen also voted yes. The moderates had expected a larger number of Democrats to vote with them, as 10 to 12 Democratic senators had been part of the negotiations. But in the end, only 5 Democrats switched their vote, the exact number that Republicans needed for cloture. King, Cortez Masto, and Fetterman had already been voting to open the government since October the 1st. So, and Fetterman is turning into something of an issue for the Democrats anyway. He's he says true things, and sometimes they don't like it when politicians say true things. You get all irritated.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. They're pretty interesting fella. He got elected, and nobody saw it coming. When he won, it was like, what the hell? So the vote was temporarily delayed on Sunday evening as 3 conservatives who often criticize spending bills, Republican Senators Mike Lee of Utah, Rick Scott of Florida, and Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, withheld their votes and huddled with Thune at the back of the chamber. They eventually voted yes after speaking to Trump. Oh my goodness. I guess it was kind of a cloture deal. So
they probably have a private deal made out there. That sounds like a really good deal. A really good brown envelope was given to those 3 boys by something.
Another Republican, Senator John Cornyn of Texas, had to fly back from Texas to deliver the crucial vote. Interesting. Okay, so they reached cloture, and that's good. All right. Schumer votes no.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, he's the Democrat leader.
That's not a surprise.
Well, a brown envelope wouldn't work on him because of his higher moral and ethical standards, right? Right.
Depends on the brown envelope. Sorry.
Have to be like 5 or 6 manila envelopes. Stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't want to castigate his character. He may be a great dude. I don't know him personally. He seems to say some very strange things, though. So I don't know what to say about that. After Democrats met for over 2 hours to discuss the proposal, Schumer said he could not, in good faith, support it. There are 5 other people who, in good faith, did. So what are you going to tell those who are in your caucus that decided to flip the vote?
Yeah.
He's going to have to say something. Like, I don't agree with that.
You'll have to sit down with them sometime and ask them why.
Well, no, he's going to have to make some public thing about it. Like, hey, why did some of your boys break ranks? The boys and girls of the caucus decided they didn't like what you were saying there. Oops.
It'd be interesting to see. Maybe in this article they say why they did it, but they just wanted to end the government shutdown. I mean,
Right.
get the country back up and running. It's pretty much what they were saying.
Right. Schumer, who received blowback from his party in March when he voted to keep the government open, said the Democrats have now sounded the alarm on healthcare. That's not the issue. That's right. So that is some clever obfuscation, right? This is there were some bills passed, and the Democrats didn't like them, but they didn't have a way to block it out because they didn't have a majority. And when they had power, they passed all kinds of things. The only way they could stop it was to filibuster, force cloture, and then filibuster and force cloture. That's the only thing that they have right now, right? Besides federal district courts, judges who are obviously Democrats, right? And I don't know if you know this, but Trump is either 30 or 31-0 at the Supreme Court. Every case that's been brought up to the Supreme Court, they're like, yeah, he's acting within 8 USC or 18 USC or 12406 for the National Guard. Like, he's doing all the things as the executive that he is allowed to do. I'm not saying if it's right or wrong, whatever the thing is, but he is within his purview as the Article 2 executive branch, as that individual in that space, right? And then Chuck Schumer says, "We will not give up the fight," except 5 of you did. Independent Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, who caucuses with the Democrats. You notice that? He's not a Democrat anymore, but he caucuses with the Democrats. Interesting. Said that giving up the fight was a horrific mistake. Well, Bernie, you're not going to miss a meal, bud. It's real easy when you're not at the tip of the spear to be like, well, that was a mistake. All right. Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat from Connecticut, agreed, saying that in last week's elections, people voted overwhelmingly Democratic to urge Democrats to hold firm. That's no. That doesn't sound like why that happened. All right. A bipartisan agreement. Democrats had voted 14 times not to reopen the government as they demanded the extension of tax credits that make coverage more affordable under the Affordable Care Act. Republicans said they would not negotiate on health care, but GOP leaders have been quietly working with the group of moderates as the contours of an agreement begin to emerge. Right, they're back there making the sausage. They're doing the work to make the product. I would really like my government to be open. That would be great. That would be great. Because there's a follow-on effect all over the G20 countries, and then again, like you said, all over the world. So the agreement includes bipartisan bills worked out by the Senate Appropriations Committee to fund parts of government, food aid, veterans programs, and the legislative branch, among other things. All other funding would be extended until the end of January, giving lawmakers more than 2 months to finish additional spending bills. So I think that if the Senate and the House of Republicans don't reduce our overall debt by 3% at the end of their term, they should probably just be politely asked to get the hell out. You did not reduce our debt. You need to go.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think it'd be even 3%. It'd be just a drop in the ocean. It should go a bit further. Maybe reduce the size of the military spending would be probably a good shout, maybe.
Come on now.
I know that won't happen. Yeah.
Well, the military-industrial complex disagrees with you, Patrick, vehemently.
Oh, big time.
The deal would reinstate federal workers who had received reduction in force or layoff notices and reimburse states that spent their own funds to keep federal programs running during the shutdown. Also, the federal government would fund those states that had those workers go on state unemployment, right?
Yeah. Oh, so they would refund the states, would they?
They'd be forced to, right? Because that's how you'd make sure that everybody was appropriately
compensated,
right? I would also protect against future reductions in force through January and guarantee federal workers would be paid once the shutdown is over. Super important. We have mouths to feed. House Democrat pushback. House Democrats swiftly criticized the Senate. Texas Representative Greg Casar, the chairman of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. What the hell even is that? What is... Look that
I was about to ask you about that. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know about a Congressional Progressive Caucus. Well, since the 1970s, words that mean progression in society have been so severely reduced. It's like we're unsure of technology, we're unsure what's a good thing, and we don't have a positive forward-thinking mindset. So progressive doesn't mean that anymore. Like the word doesn't mean what it used to mean. So anyway, he said a deal that doesn't reduce healthcare costs is a betrayal of millions of Americans who are counting on Democrats to fight. Accepting nothing but a pinky promise from Republicans isn't a compromise, it's capitulation. Look at that, using big words. Kazar said in a post on X, millions of families would pay the price. Millions of families aren't eating right now, Kazar. What do you want to do there, stud? What do you want to do, stud? Come on. Come on.
Yep. But I think what the Democrats are trying to put over for healthcare reforms is kind of a smart thing to do, kind of reduce down the premiums that people are paying.
Oh, it looks like Representative Annie Craig wants to be head of a sales team. She said she's from Minnesota. She represents. If people believe this is a deal, I have a bridge to sell you. She wants to get into bridge sales. Look at her. She wants to sell some bridges. Look at her. All righty, here we go. House Democrat leader Team Jeffries blamed Republicans and said Democrats will continue to fight. Donald Trump and the Republican Party own the toxic mess they have created in our country, and the American people know it. You know what's really funny about that? 12 of the last 16 years have had complete control by Democrats, except for the 4 years when Trump was in office as number 45. Like, so this didn't just happen overnight, right? And there were 14 votes prior to this vote where the Democrats held the line, right?
You're right.
But now that we're in the longest shutdown in American history, it's a bit of a problem, you know? So,
yeah.
All right, healthcare.
Before this, so when was the longest shutdown? What was the second longest?
35 days.
And who was the president then?
I want to say Trump.
Yeah. Trump was the second. So Trump, number one, number two, the longest shutdowns have been under Trump.
Yes. Pretty sure. We'll check that. Well, if it's different than that,
I'm just looking. I'm looking at it here right now.
We'll cite it. All right. So healthcare debate ahead. It's unclear whether the two parties would be able to find any common ground on the healthcare subsidies before a promised December vote in the Senate. House Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican Louisiana, has said he will not commit to bring it up in his calendar. So he's in charge of what comes up on the calendar. So he can pretty much lock it down. He's also in charge of who on the Republican side gets put on committees and subcommittees. Some Republicans have said they are open to extending the COVID-19 era tax credits as premiums could skyrocket for millions of people. Why are we using COVID-19? It's 2025. Why would there be a COVID-19 era tax credit in 2025? I don't know if you know this, but COVID pretty much went away. Apparently it was just a bad flu. We decided not to have, the
Republicans. They want to extend that tax credit.
No, the Republicans. I don't know. The Republicans don't want to. It's not the Republicans that want to extend it.
Some Republicans have said that they are open to extending the tax credit. Okay.
No. They said if they're open to extending the credits, premiums could skyrocket, right?
Ooh.
But then they also want to. So that was kind of a mystery. But so they don't want it, right? But they also want new limits on who can receive the subsidies and argue that tax dollars for the plan should be routed through individuals, right? So it's not going through individuals now. It's going to those who provided goods, products, services, right? So it means that somebody out there could get a little crazy with the budget sheet and just start dumping, and the American taxpayer, again, will be forced to pay for it, right? But functionally, all these things are paid from corporate taxes anyway, not from individual taxes. Our individual taxes that we receive are functionally less than our debt at this point, so all that money is just thrown out, right? The United States has between 100 and 105 million taxpayers that pay more into the system than they take out. And we have 41.7, so rounded to 42 million SNAP beneficiaries, right? So half the people that don't give just take, right? So there's a lot of money being printed somewhere, right? Because again, what do we have? Like just over 23 trillion in 1985. We had 2.78 trillion. Like that's That is a massive amount. Somebody printed a lot of money. Someone,
Yeah.
I don't know who it was.
Yeah, that's why I always laugh every time I hear certain people turn around and say they should go back onto the gold standard. And I said, how much gold do you think is actually in Fort Knox? They're going, oh,
Right.
I said, there's 150 billion in Fort Knox. Your debt, your national debt is 5 trillion.
Yeah, you can't go back
cannot
on it.
afford it.
No.
You can never go back on the gold standard, ever.
Right. Well, the gold prices are what, close to 4,000 an ounce right now, which means the market is
They would have to be a million an ounce before it would actually come close to covering the national debt, plus the cash in circulation and so on.
For sure. All right. So the shutdown effects worsen. Meanwhile, the consequences of the shutdown have been compounding. U.S. airlines canceled more than 2,000 flights on Sunday. For the first time, the shutdown began, and there were more than 7,000 flight delays, according to FlightAware, a website that tracks air travel disruptions. Treasury Secretary, go ahead.
140,000 people are stranded all over the United States at the moment, between delayed flights cancelled, and so on. Just stranded.
Well, find a rental car company if you're close. Treasury Secretary Sean Duffy said on CNN State of the Union that air travel ahead of Thanksgiving holidays will be reduced to a trickle if the government doesn't reopen. Well, facts.
Oh, that's why they. Oh, yeah, everyone wants to get home for Thanksgiving. Maybe that's why they crossed the aisle. Sorry. I'm being a bit cynical about this, but
are you doing
it could be a bit cynical on my behalf, but maybe that's why they're rushing to get this vote through.
Nah,
not only will it affect the Democrats, it'll also affect the Republicans if people can't get home for a major holiday like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
So are you doing turkey or like spiral ham for Thanksgiving? Which one are you going with?
I live in Ireland, bud.
You don't want to celebrate Thanksgiving with me?
I celebrate with you in spirit. I'll send a couple of pints. I'll drink a couple of pints of Guinness.
Okay.
Celebrate. How was that for you? I'll send you a picture.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture.
I think we're going to do both this year. So, but I'll send pictures. You'll see.
Okay.
At the same time, food aid was delayed for tens of millions of people as supplemental nutrition assistance program SNAP benefits were caught up in legal battles related to the shutdown. Oh, there was a lot of stuff coming out about that where, remember we were talking about Doge before, where people who were 153 and 200 years old were getting Social Security benefits? Remember that?
Yeah.
Well, apparently there's a lot of dead people and people who don't exist and those who aren't citizens who are getting a ton of these benefits. Tons of these benefits. So
yeah, I've seen those headlines, and when you read through them, they're more speculation than actually proof behind these.
Right, and then it was
and there's just wild numbers. They look like with no follow up that they look like they just pulled out of fresh air.
Right.
Look, as I've always said, every system like this will always have a bit of leakage. Usually, it's between 3 to 5% will be lost in the system through fraud, mishandling, and so on. No matter how perfect your system is, by the way, it will always happen.
So it looked like from the stats we saw earlier, 37% of the recipients of SNAP benefits in the United States are white, 26% are black, 14% are Hispanic, and the last is others. So,
yes.
And in Washington, home to tens of thousands of federal workers who have gone unpaid, the Capital Area Food Bank said it is providing 8 million more meals ahead of the holidays that it prepared for this budget year, nearly a 20% increase.
Yeah, they're actually supplying federal workers who haven't got paid in a couple of weeks with emergency meals and so on.
Right.
Which is really good of them, actually, really good.
Oh,
but it's kind of it is a shame they had to kind of resort to food banks. Awful shame.
We have to ensure that the contributors to the report, Associated Press writers Stephen Groves and Kevin Brecking, are just so we know, just so they're out there.
Yes.
So, all right. For Patrick McCallum, I am Alex Johansson. We are the A&P Gents. Like, subscribe, click the bell, do all the things, and help us beat the algorithm. We are out.